Sports in Germany. The 8th International Ski Jumping Tournament got underway at Oberstdorf in Upper Bavaria. 80,000 spectators saw record distances and a few spills under the ideal weather conditions which prevailed. "31 years after the 100-meter mark was first reached, a 22-year-old Norwegian named Lars Grinny set a new world record of 150 meters at this meet. Records were made and broken just as rapidly at the meeting of international speed skaters on the modern rink at Insel. Kies Verkerk and Ard Schenk from Holland set new world records in the 1,500 and 3,000 meter events, and Germany's Erhard Keller was unbeatable in his specialty, the 500-meter dash. Brazil's Nelson Pessoa won Germany's grand prize this year, although he and most of his fellow competitors stumbled at the highest jump in the high jumping event, which stood at 7 feet 7 inches. Gert Wildfang, astride 14-year-old Ferdl, did manage to clear the combination high jump and parallels, making him the most successful competitor in the Westfalenhalle. One problem concerning academicians everywhere is the special education of especially talented children. The state of Hessen has been conducting an experiment in kindergartens with several new teaching aids. Lessons are taught via tape recorder.
Aufgepasst! Jetzt darfst du mit dem Stern den gemalten Roller holen und drücke dann gleich auf den gemalten Roller.
Children can now learn to read long before their official education begins. Opponents of this system maintain that youngsters could be overworked and overtaxed.
Kann man aufschreiben. Da steht geschrieben Roller.
But the test cases provided positive results. In 6 months, the young students learned to read. Professor Correll, who headed the tests, explains why. Humans are more receptive and more agile between the ages of 3 and 5 than at any other time in life. Nepal. King Mahendra greeted Federal President Heinrich Lübke and his wife in his country's capital city of Kathmandu as they arrived for a state's visit. This tiny Himalayan kingdom between India and China was one stop on President Lübke's 3-week Asian tour, which also included visits to South Korea, Malaysia, Thailand, and Afghanistan. After visiting a Buddhist monastery, Germany's head of state toured the holy Hindu grounds of Pashupatinath. Nepal has a historically rich past. Not only was Buddha born in this country, but the first classical pagodas were also constructed here. However, the present has brought with it several serious problems for this minute kingdom. Traditional agricultural areas can't supply Nepal's 10 million citizens, and the country must undergo extensive industrialization. The Federal Republic will contribute its share of scientific, economic, and technical assistance. President Lübke officiated at the opening of a technical training center for future industrial workers. Wolfsburg, the industrial city in northern Germany, has often been referred to as the city without a past and the assembly line city. Nevertheless, for Wolfsburg's 80,000 citizens, this 25-year-old city has already become home, a home whose face has been created by several modern architects, such as Finland's Alvar Aalto. The Volkswagen factory, Germany's largest, is located here on the banks of the Midland Canal, the most important waterway between the Weser and Elbe rivers. About 6,000 cars are produced by the company daily, half of which are scheduled for export. Wolfsburg Castle, for which the town was named. State royalty lived here for ages. Its seal, a lunging wolf. This Renaissance structure is today the center of cultural activity in Wolfsburg. Several modern artists live and work here. Sculptor Peter Seif, for example. Painter Paul Kurt Bartsch. Visiting artists from the United States, France, Italy, and Brazil work in the print shop under the able direction of Gustav Beck. Photographer Heinrich Heidesberger takes experimental compositions which he calls rhythmograms with the aid of light oscillators. The rhythm of life in Wolfsburg is more or less dictated by the automobile factory, although 40-hour weeks leave plenty of time for hobbies and after-hour activity.
Als Maler ist Vincent van Gogh natürlich frei von den persönlichen Problemen, die ihn seit seines Lebens bedrängt haben. Aber natürlich schwingt dieses persönliche Erlebnis.
The City Auditorium is currently hosting an exhibition of paintings, sketches, and watercolors by Vincent van Gogh through the courtesy of Amsterdam's famous Stedelijk Museum. It's the first extensive exhibition by the Dutch master in Germany's history. This is one of the largest exhibitions ever sponsored by the Volkswagen factory, and it has created a great deal of interest. Weekends bring thousands of visitors to view his famous sunflowers or boats on the shoreline in all their originality. The culturally curious come from as far away as Frankfurt, Hamburg, and Berlin. Sufficient proof that a city created in and for the present can also possess several faces and aspects. Wolfsburg is a stellar example of just such a variegated existence. In Munich, Bavaria's famous capital city, there's an attraction every day at 11 a.m. which draws the curious from all over the world. In the tower at City Hall, as the Glockenspiel tolls the hour, jousters and guild members parade by, and then the dance of the barrel makers gets underway. This fascinating, intricate clock performance was actually created to remind everyone of an historical event. In the year 1517, Munich was overrun with the plague, and the city was paralyzed with fear. The barrel makers in the city decided to liven the spirits of their fellow citizens with a colorful parade and lively music, and this memorial to their goodwill, courage, and unbounded energy was commissioned in their honor. Unfortunately, the barrel-making profession is on the wane in Munich for lack of apprentices, even though numerous breweries, winemakers, and even chemical companies continue to place orders for solid oaken barrels in preference to metallic or synthetic containers. Barrel makers aren't pessimistic, though. As long as the guild continues dancing, they sentimentally maintain, we'll always keep busy. About 20 million liters of drinkable liquids are still transported and stored in wooden barrels annually. Reason enough to continue quoting the old saying. A traveler to Hamburg wrote back in 1790, "This city is a fantastic business town. Every type of goods passes through here, and there's nothing in the world which can't be bought, sold, or traded." And that holds true even today. Literally everything under the sun can be found at Harry's Harbor Bazaar in St. Pauli. stuffed bears, Indian heads out of wood or wax, antiques of every sort. Harry Rosenberg has something for everyone, including valuable artifacts. So if you've been looking for that certain specialty all these years in vain, try Harry's. Even if you don't find out what you've been looking for, you're bound to find something. Stuffed alligators, good luck pieces for car drivers. Harry has 30 rooms in the cellar full of priceless treasures, and plenty of junk too, of course. Pickle barrels, opera scores, trinkets of every conceivable variety. Everything can be sold is Harry's motto, even shrunken heads for $3,000. Harry has them in a vault for safekeeping. Understandably, collectors of every stripe show up at Harry's Bazaar. The former sailor staunchly maintains that you can earn as much money with curios as you can with original masterpieces, and he proves his own point. Hamburg's point of geographical curiosity is currently a newly acquired settlement at the neck of the Elbe River, about 70 miles from the center of the city, an island named Neuwerk, which is reachable at low tide by horse cart. The island's landmark is the world's oldest functioning lighthouse. Its population, a scant 56. A new experimental concrete section has been placed in the dam to check the effects of the tides. Drinking water is in short supply. During the dry season, it's transported from Hamburg and stored in a bunker fitted with hand pumps. Postal service comes twice weekly. The postmaster is also mayor and fire chief, which keeps him busy at least. Neuwerk citizens live more from the tourist trade than by agricultural effort, but it's a question of time before this North Sea refuge is turned into Hamburg's new harbor for the large ocean liners. The National Indoor Diving Championships were held this year in Cologne. In the men's 3-meter event, the decision fell only after the final round. The winner by a scant few points was Klaus Konsor from Leverkusen. A new promising talent was discovered among the women, Regina Krause. But Germany's reigning champion, Angelike Kaibert, renewed her title easily. As usual, the high tower events provided the greatest excitement of the meet. The water has to be at least 18 feet deep before the divers are sufficiently slowed down from the 33-foot plunge. Klaus Konsor also won this event, bringing him the combination championship, which was awarded at this meet for the first time. These championships served simultaneously as a test of the quality of divers in the Federal Republic, who will participate in the 1968 Olympic Games in Mexico.